Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be here today doing another sort of video. Yesterday with the video I did on the players that we should sell in the summer. There was 8 different players that I said we should get rid of and move them on in the summer. That video went down very well. I had a lot of people commenting on it, a lot of opinions, a lot of really good opinions as well. So thanks a lot for that, guys. Really appreciate hearing your thoughts on what should go on this summer, because I think this summer is quite key. And in a way, I was thinking earlier, it's actually quite, I'm not going to say it's not good that we're winning the treble, but it's quite useful that we're not going to go and win the treble and dominate football altogether once again this season. Because had we done that, the board might have sat back and thought, you know what, everything's fine. When in reality, the team is growing older. We've got an average age that's very high. There's certainly players in this squad which shouldn't be there anymore. And I think this summer, again, we need to stamp down, we need to be thorough, and we need to move some players on and get some young players in and get some quality players in there as well to add to our squad. So at least this summer now, we're not conquering football altogether. If we can still do the double, then excellent, but we should still realise that we need to develop our squad. We need to add to it so we can become even more of a force next season. So what I'm going to do in this video is talk about 4 different positions which I think Barcelona this summer must strengthen. Now, I'm not going to mention names because I'm still thinking and I'm still waiting to see what happens with certain players at other clubs come the end of the season. I'm not entirely sure who we should go for yet in terms of personnel, but I do know the positions that we need to strengthen this season, and desperately as well. So the first one is probably the most key one, actually, and certainly one of the most key ones, and that's a left back. We have to sign a left-sided fullback because, quite frankly, Jordi Alba is fantastic, and I actually really like Jordi Alba. A lot of people have a lot of criticism for him at times, and I mean, at some point this season he did take a big dip in form, but I think in general down that left-hand side he combines with Neymar really well, he combines with Iniesta, and I think he gives us a lot down that left-hand side. He knows the Barca way, he came through the academy, he's through and through, so he knows what we're supposed to be doing here, and I think we should definitely, he'll still be a starter without a doubt. Defensively, at times he can be a bit suspect, certainly going forward, he gives us an extra dimension down that left-hand side. He's key to our width. But we have to bring in someone else. We have to bring in a player who, number one, if Jordi Alba gets injured, we're lucky that he hasn't spent extensive time on the sidelines, although this season he has suffered quite a few niggly injuries, so he's not exactly not injury prone, so we certainly need to get somebody in just in case of injury, but also so we can rest him. He's a player that's had to play whenever he's fit, because quite simply there's nobody there at the moment that can step in a big game or quite a high quality game and replace him. Matthew's been played at left back, he's simply not a left back. Adriano himself is injury prone, he's also not at the level required. So quite frankly, we need to get somebody in and make sure that we got somebody there who can replace Jordi Alba. The problem is that when you're going to sign this type of player, are they going to be a starter? And I'm going to come into exactly the same thing when we talk about a striker that we're going to sign, because nobody really wants to sign for a club knowing they're not going to automatically start, or at least they're not going to be considered to start. So you need to really pick out the player. He needs to be good enough, but he also needs to know that maybe he's not going to start every game. So that's where you've got to do the convincing. That's where Luis Enrique comes in. That's where the board's got to come in. They've got to convince the player. They've got to make him understand the situation. And hopefully we can get somebody in of quality, but at the same time, someone who's not going to cause problems if they don't play as often as they wish. The one, again, a massive position we need to strengthen, and I've said this time and time again, summer after summer, we need to sign a world-class centre-back. Now, it'll either have to be a world-class centre-back or a young player that we're going to spend a lot of money on that is going to become a world-class centre-back, because we need somebody now who's going to partner Gerard Piqué at the heart of our defence. They're going to build a partnership between them, and they're going to be warriors. We need somebody who's going to come in and is going to be pretty tallish. He's going to be taller than Mascherano. That's a given. And by the way, this is nothing against Mascherano, because I think over the seasons he's been here, he's converted himself wonderfully. He's settled in fantastically, and he's given us a lot in that centre-back area. He really, really has. So what I want to say is he's been a great servant, but now the time is to get somebody in to partner Gerard Piqué, to build a real partnership between those two, because Piqué's at the stage now where he's a leader. He's got a captain. He's like a captain without the armband. He can pass his experience on to younger players. He can rub off on them. If we bring in somebody like Marquinhos, like Laporte, he can rub off on them, he can teach them things, he act as their mentor, and I think we need to do that now. Now is the time. There's going to be players available this summer who are out there. Go and get them. Go and pay the money you have to and get a world-class centre-back like we should have done so many years ago. And the final two positions are all about the forwards, because in terms of midfield players, I think that Busquets desperately needs a rest, so we could bring in another defensive midfield player. But then you've got the problem of, if Busquets is always fit, he's going to play. So again, you've got that problem of bringing somebody in with the idea that they're not going to play very often. And also, of course, you've got Sergi Samper in the B team, who's a defensive midfielder and can certainly play that role. So I think we may see him promoted this summer. We've got a lot of midfield players, and of course, some of these players that we need to strengthen depends on who's going to leave in the summer. For instance, if Dani Alves moves on, we're going to have to start looking maybe at a long-term right back. If Arda Turan moves on, we're going to have to start looking, maybe bringing in another midfielder. Denis Suarez looks like he's going to come in, so I'm absolutely fine with that. That's going to be a great addition if it happens. But in terms of the last two positions we must strengthen this summer, it's a winger and it's a striker. Now, a lot of people are saying, we've got MSN, let's just bring in one forward type player, that'll be enough. Not for me. I think the time has come now, and certainly in the last few games, we have to realise that we need different types of players. We can't have all the same, and it was exactly the same at the end of Pep's era. There was a lot of cries in Spain about a plan B. That's all you heard about. Whenever we lost a game, it was always, you've got no plan B, you've got no alternate way of playing. Now, certainly with MSN, we know all about them, we know what they can give you, but there may be times where they can't quite produce it, where either maybe there be an injury or a suspension, there could be a bit of off form, there could be a bit of fatigue, so we need to bring players in who can come on and change the game. Not come on and replace them like for like, but come on and give something a bit different, whether it's a striker that's a bit taller, whether it's a striker that's a bit stronger, or a striker that's a bit more mobile in Luis Suarez. We can just change things around a little bit, so it puts a little bit of doubt in the opposition's mind. Because when you've been marking players for 60-odd minutes thoroughly, you've been watching videos of them before the match, and then suddenly a new player comes onto the field, and he's starting to run in behind you. He's starting to drop off. He's starting to move into the space. You don't know what he's going to do, and you just need that element of doubt taking over in your mind, so it's not so predictable from us. And I think certainly that's what we need to do. We need to bring in a striker, a player who can score goals, a player who, again, doesn't mind sitting on the sidelines for a lot of the time, but can come on and make an impact, and exactly the same goes for a winger. I would really be happy if one of these players coming in was a younger player. We've been heavily linked with Ousmane Dembele, who's a young player at Rennes at the moment in France. Fantastic young player. He's going to cost a bit of money though. There's a lot of clubs interested in him. We've heard a lot about Paulo Dybala at Juventus. Fantastic season he's had, but again, that would be a very, very expensive move. We've of course got Munir. I'm not sure what's going to happen with him this summer, whether he can make that step up and really become a senior player at Barcelona, or is he going to go into the long line of strikers like Bojan, like Cuenca, like Teo, who don't quite make it at Barcelona. He's had a decent second half of the season, but again, you feel there's more to come from him. He needs to be physically stronger and more able on the pitch when he comes on to make that impact, to create the game by the scruff of its neck and perform. So those are the four positions that I think we have to strengthen this summer. Bring in a backup left back of quality. Bring in a world-class centre-back or a younger player who can develop very quickly and already has huge promise into a world-class centre-back. Bring in a striker and a winger who is capable of replacing MSN and giving us a bit of a different outlook, a bit of a different idea about the way we're playing, and gives a little bit of the opposition something to think about. So let me know down below, guys, what your opinions are, and certainly start giving me ideas on who we should be looking to sign. That's the video that's going to be coming up very, very soon. I'm going to be telling you who I think we should go and sign. I've mentioned a few names in that video there, but I'm going to really be a bit more concrete about who we should be trying to sign, and also at the moment who the club are looking at. So look out for that video. That's going to be coming up soon. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below though about what you think and who you think we should be signing. Let me know if you agree with my thoughts in this video. And like I say, guys, thanks a lot for all your interaction, all your comments. They're really appreciated. As always, until next time, I'll see you very, very soon. Visca El Barça.